Will we see him on something like Kindred that's definitely fallen out of the meta in recent weeks with the latest tweaks towards his kit, or maybe Graves, a champion that is probably the last carry jungler that we actually see to some degree.
Yeah. Possible. I mean, we've seen, you know, that Thunderlord's Graves really does a lot of damage. First pick here for Longzhu. They drafted this Jhin in the first round
you take
on red.
Trundle instantly here.
Yeah, and they just go right for it again for Fury, who did have a good game, was landing those curtain call shots, but still.
Trundle Rek'Sai did
Very
so
risky.
much work against Jhin. Longzhu missed the timing on really being able to deal with it. So MVP might pivot, which does open up some squishier targets for this Jhin to potentially explode in the front line. Graves can sometimes be fodder
There we go.
for a Jhin who's ahead, so there is an element of risk, but it is also a takeaway from Crash in terms of these carry jungles that he's known for. However, you pointed it out, he's been in the hyperbolic solo queue, I guess dynamic queue, test chamber for a while. Let's see if he's beefed up some of his other champions. Bengi came back and can play Kindred. Can Crash come back and play tanks?
It's possible. I mean, one of the things that we did see from Crash, though, was Elise in the past, so could be, you know, pulling that one
It's
out.
banned in game 1.
It was banned in game 1, so now available here, but looks like he's playing with the Rek'Sai.
Come on, Coco.
I
Lock
want
it in.
Yes, please. The mid Nunu, let me see it.
Sit in the brush, wait for them to face check. Absolute zero chance of that happening.
Absolutely. I was going to say absolutely 0 kills. Will be Rek'Sai locked in, though, for Crash. Now playing around with this top lane. We're hovering the Rumble. They're going to lock it in already.
So you lock in Rumble here to say, all right, if you want to play Trundle, it's going to be a hell of an early laning phase. And Trundle can actually get to a spot where he can tussle against the Rumble, predictably around the Spirit Visage timing, but it can really mess up some of your itemization because you can't really build Tiamat as Trundle into a Rumble because he'll just kill you unless you get a Spectre's Cowl early. So this is very much a blocker pick to Trundle, but Trundle was so good from AD, won them the MVP in game 1 that I think you still go for the bad laning matchup. If you can make Trundle versus Snar work, you can make Trundle versus Rumble work.
Yep. Fun fact, ADD's second MVP. It's only
His first was on Shen, though.
He's one of 3 people on MVP, the team, to get nominated as MVP. It's him, Ian, and Beyond, who has soaked up the majority of those. Now on this Graves, could be looking for another one to get a step closer towards Smeb. He's currently sitting on the throne. Bard locked in.
The MVP, always tricky to talk about. I just say most valuable player at that point. The Trundle predictably
They
taken.
still do go for it.
The Bard gives them lane power. Also would be an answer to a setup AD carry. Bard is ult reliant on stopping the Jhin ult, but we'll be able to answer like for like, ultimate for ultimate. And now we were waiting to see ostensibly mid lane and support from Longzhu. Vladimir still available. They could look to it, be a blind Vladimir pick, almost certainly answered by an Anivia.
I mean, so is Azir. We saw coming into 6.11, the question was, will Azir fall out of favor given the changes to the W and the ultimate? Still was heavily picked and contested, especially against a team like SK Telecom. Coco, known for that champion, not really even fiddling with the idea of it. Looks like he might be sold on the LeBlanc for this time. Oh,
he's kept the summoners,
Never
Ghost
mind.
Flash, so Vladimir was definitely the expected mid lane pick. Vladimir Rumble, we're talking about some sick Wombo AoE with the Hemo Plague and the Equalizer, and they draft Braum at the last minute as their final choice.
yeah.
Predictably going to be Anivia as a lock, and we'd expect from Ian. It's not a spot to go LeBlanc, and his impressive champions in order have been LeBlanc, Varus, and I guess now the Anivia.
Yeah,
So
he did have a very good game. Some very crucial walls to create picks, especially onto Chaser.
but you do look down MVP's lineup, and it's not Rek'Sai and Trundle in the front line. It is going to be Graves and Trundle, or Bard and Trundle, and those 2 other champions can be chunked out by a Jhin. So if Longzhu can take the mid game by the scruff of the neck, as they were able to in game 1, this is the sort of draft that you could potentially run away with if you're Longzhu. They also have slightly less answers to a Ghost Flash Vladimir. You look at this comp, they still have the Trundle pillar, they still have the Anivia, but it's not quite the comp that really answered game 1 so well. So I think Longzhu, you hit the Hemo Plague Equalizer, and then Jhin lines up the ultimate with all that armor penetration in the mid game. Mid game fights could certainly go to Longzhu, and with the Rumble also, they should still be opting into those early Drakes because they have a lot of tools to fight well around Drake.
Yeah. MVP going to be looking to garner another early lead like they had in Game 1. This time, if they lose it, it would be pretty devastating, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to bounce back. So, going to have to get a big hold on this game and grab on for that for dear life.
But we get to see it, Kilios. We get to see Crash back in competitive play beyond this young jungler who's come from Challenger and impressed us. Crash, the guy who debuted last season. We didn't expect him to play. Chaser was their starting jungler, fresh off his carry days on Jhin Air. So we're going to see Crash versus Beyond, two of the most promising young jungle talents in Korea. Rek'Sai Graves isn't quite carry versus carry, but I'm excited to see what Crash can do on a slightly different champion in the Rek'Sai.
As am I. I mean, we can expect, pretty much like Expession's Gnar. It's either going to be majestic or it's going to be garbage. I'm hoping.
I'm ready for some majestic garbage.
I'm hoping for the former on that one. I want to see Crash really come out swinging and maybe become the new starting jungle here for Longzhu. Could be the swap up that they need to actually find some success and start getting some more wins on the board.
I'm really excited to see, can MVP stick the landing? Will Longzhu come back? We'll find out now.
Good questions, Papa. Let's go ahead and get right into Game 2. Ocean Drake to kick things off.
That was too much hype for an Ocean Drake.
Yeah, sorry. Ocean Drake.
Thank you.
To start things off.
Come on, we have to start things measured, grow into the game. We just had a 53-minute epic, and this one could go just as long.
I'm trying to sell this like it's like a WWE WrestleMania event.
I don't think you're doing that. Sorry.
I gotta bring the hype from the start.
I don't think the WWE main event's going to be Longzhu versus MVP. MVP was a wrestler in the WWE, but didn't quite ascend to the level of WrestleMania main event status.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, not much to talk about.
I stopped watching wrestling, well, God, I don't even know how young I was, but when John Cena started becoming a good guy.
Wow, that was a long time ago. Yeah. He's been a good guy a long time.
Yeah, that's...
you could say he's the good guy.
That's been my, that's been when I cut it off. I was like, all right, I'm done with this.
Well, Fury's going to the old school of Jhin Keystone Mastery. He is actually going to be going towards the Death via Touch. It makes so much sense.
Yeah, last game.
It makes so much sense as a mastery choice because of the single target nature of those Jhin spells, but a lot of people, Arrow included, have felt the need to go Thunderlords for extra laning oomph. The early mid game, if you're stacking armor penetration, you're looking towards the early mid game, and thus it makes some degree of sense to go to Thunderlords. But in the ultra late game, if it does get to the ultra late game, Death via Touch, certainly the superior damage choice.
Fury's like, I don't need oomph. I got the skills, which he does. He landed the majority of his shots in that last game, so it was a really strong showing from him on that Jhin.
Expession gets to play Rumble, so that's fun.
Yeah. Of course, Corrupting Potion start here from ADD, trying to soak up and regen as much of that damage as he possibly can. He's taking from this Flame Spitter beyond, working his way up toward and around those Raptors. Not going to be seeing a level 2 gank this time around from the Graves.
So whenever you see Rumble in a matchup like this Trundle, you do expect 2v2 action top soon in the bot lane.
MaHa already going to have to flash away. Fury trying to get in range for that last shot, but unable to find it. Nice aggression comes through, and they get that Summoner spell out of the AD carry of MVP.
Such a surprising pathing from junglers. Back in the days of the Rumble meta in 2015, it would always be about who would counter gank or gank the Rumble, depending on what was happening in top lane. Marin died and got solo kills many a time in scenarios like that, but both junglers actually pathed towards the bot lane, so Rumble's just going to have his way with the Trundle in the early game.
Sure, he's not too happy about that one.
There's just nothing Trundle can do. He won't die, but can't walk up for last hits. It will take the overheated Flame Spitter damage. Now with the minion cap gone, very easy for Rumble to push in the Trundle, and then Trundle very much needs Spectre's Cowl to get through early laning phase, so Tiamat timing most likely going to be significantly delayed.
I mean, hell, we've seen Trundles just not go for Tiamat at all. I can't remember who it was.
I think it ended up being a third item Tiamat. I think you have to get Tiamat at some point, but Expession taking some nice autos.
Yeah, he's trying to trade back as best as he can. Is down a little bit, but he could equalize the CS count with those 3 minions that are sitting there in lane. MaHa has gone back since and gotten his boots. He's suffering a little bit, though. That's going to put him down by about 13 CS.
Yeah, not a very exciting first purchase.
Oh, beyond. There's a crash there. We'll send him back through the tunnel. Beyond now roaming up to the top. Expession still really far forward, trying to get a kill here onto ADD. Has to flash away. The overheating just now being alleviated. ADD thinking alive will get popped up by Crash. First blood still goes over to Beyond, who has a good amount of damage. Won't be able to finalize the kill onto Crash, however, but still MVP coming out a little bit on top of that one, getting the first blood, but losing the kill. They're not going to have much of a gold lead, actually in a deficit.
Yeah, ADD will be able to teleport back and pick up most of this CS as it hasn't crashed too hard. Beyond cancels his recall. This could be
really cheeky, actually. Just got to wait for Expession to move forward, try to get some harass down on ADD. Dashes forward, that's going to be the pillar.
Oh, baby.
That's going to be the end of the line. Damage not actually coming through. Expession, though, no flash, not really anywhere to run. The minions blocking these auto attacks from Beyond. Dashes forward, one more will do it. He takes it away. Nicely played by MVP, acknowledging that they can pick up a very quick second kill in that top side.
The jungler sense from Beyond is something I've harped on about. Sticking around in that scenario was one thing, but the mechanics to actually not have any auto attack be blocked by minions. Of course, Graves, famously the only champion that has that interaction because his auto attack does get stopped by minions and monsters. Hit all of them, and even though the end of the line didn't come through, very nice second kill for MVP on the top lane.
Yep. Crash just hovering around, going to eat this experience from the turret.
No more than that, though. Expession had to teleport up, so now we'll find himself missing about an extra couple of minion waves of CS. So experience-wise, this Rumble's going to be pretty far behind.
Yep. And it's a Doran Shield and a No Magic Mantle for ADD, so getting that extra regen, the mitigation on the attacks, and then No Magic as he moves towards that Spectre's Cowl. Ruby Crystal in the inventory as well as the Reju feat.
Just got a little bit of everything on his way to Spectre's Cowl and Tiamat.
A pretty good spot. Meanwhile, on bot, MaHa's almost been allowed to get this
flash
back up and beyond. Pathing around the back, does have collateral damage up. Does have the smoke screen, not going to be able to find anything. But here comes Crash. Might be able to turn this one around. Beyond going to get targeted up, gets stunned up by those concussive blows. It's going to be Max, the first one going down. The Ignite will tick down Pure. So just going to be an exchange of those supports. But kill goes over to Crash, the other one going over to Max.
This is the second time we've seen Beyond on the Graves, but his pathing has been so impressive. He still went the early farm build. Wasn't until level 4, 4.5 for the impacted lanes. 3 out of 3 kill involvements already. He's picked up the gold, and that's one jungler you're happy to have the gold. With Crash, maybe he'll get some tankiness. In the early game, that can be relevant to some degree. Yeah. The Graves build is well and truly rolling at this point.
Be doing a plethora of damage. We saw that collateral.
A majestic amount of damage?
A majestic amount of damage. Helping him finish off Pure, but unfortunately for Max, he's still a very squishy bard and did go down in that exchange. So it does still keep things pretty even here for MVP. But despite the massive CS discrepancy in the bottom side and that 10 in the mid, they're still ahead by about 500. A lot of that going to be helped by ADD, who is stretched ahead of that Rumble.
Experience-wise, even though it's not reflected in levels right now, Trundle's in a really good spot against the Rumble. Spectre's Cowl and Tiamat, when you have those early kill involvements, might come out a decent enough clip to allow him to navigate the laning phase just fine. Before items that Rumble really has a significant advantage, and that's why the jungle involvement's so inevitable. And so far, it's gone the way of MVP and ADD in particular.
Helping them out a lot. MVP, though, definitely want to keep this ball rolling, try to get as many advantages as they can. As we talked about that at the beginning of the game. They can get a lead and actually hold on to it, not give it up in silly ways like we saw in Game 1, then they could close this one out and find a 2-0 victory. But if you let Crash get in there, let this Jhin start taking hold and pumping out the damage, it could be disaster.
Well, that's why it's relevant that Trundle's not far behind, because think of the items that MVP need to realistically win a fight in the mid-game. We're going to need to see some laning magic resist from the Trundle. He's going to need Tiamat to have any semblance of wave clear, and then he needs armor to deal with all the flat armor penetration coming through from the Jhin. We're seeing a contest on blue, but Ian will claim it nonetheless. But that's a lot of items you need on a lane that might be denied, might be far behind in the matchup. So things going well for ADD.
So far, so good. We could have said that about last game as well, so just needs to maintain that and be consistent about it. We can see him roam down to the bot here for Beyond, but Longzhu are getting pushed back towards the tower. It's actually going to be a roam in. Now, for Crash, we might just have a full-blown fight. Crash goes through the tunnel over the wall. MaHa going to have that spell shield pop, trying to back off. He's on the hunt. Here comes the TP straight into the middle of the fight from Ian. Finds Crash. They lock him up and they take him down. Nicely played there by the side of MVP. Coco just not able to react in time. Didn't use the Ghost, however, so fortunate for him, but this is going to open up MVP for the first Drake. It's going to be Ocean going over to them.
So the moment that Crash saw Graves, he actually needed to back away. You have to once again remember you're against double teleport with both teleports being available. Maybe a channel to teleport. Crash died for free. It means Drake goes over. It's going to be a second Ocean on the menu, but that was a scenario where these tendencies from Crash, his over-aggression, comes back to bite. Other junglers would realize, wait, we don't actually have the ability to bring 5 members here in the same timely fashion, and punished our Longzhu.
Yep. Those solo Q tendencies coming out, the dynamic Q tendencies coming out here in Crash. We don't talk about solo Q. It's
well, thankfully he's in Challenger, so we can say Challenger tendencies.
Okay, sure.
But then it's kind of weird because it's a Challenger league. I don't know. Bring back solo Q.
Yep.
Smart.
Poor Crash. You know, you would think that he was able to reflect on all of these mistakes that he makes in these games, dying so needlessly, because he has those, 20 to 40-minute breaks in between each match that he has to wait out. So you think he would be able to rack his brain and figure these problems out, but it seems like he just is too busy playing maybe like Overwatch in between the matches.
So in my head, what actually happens is, he's like, he gets like a double kill and he shows it to his coach, and his coach is like, yeah, but like, this wasn't the smartest move. Like, you really should have just been looking for the team play. Also, you're playing Nidalee. Like, you need to build the Rek'Sai. And, like, Crash just sits there, listens, and is like, doesn't matter. Got LP.
Well, right now, he's taking the steps to lose some LP for his team. Longzhu needs all of the LP.
Yeah, they don't have many league points. It's worth noting.
They are
8th.
Yeah. They're close to the bottom. You don't want to get relegated out of your division.
MVP will be 4-4 in match score and 6-0 in terms of a game streak over their last 3 sets. So that would be really big for them if they were to win this 2-0.
Very massive. I just would hope for them that if they do get that, it's not the same as the 6-match streak that we saw from CJ last split.
Look, it's worth noting their opposition has been not necessarily top tier. The first win was surprising, of course, against Jhin.
Yes, that was
They should be beating CJ. They beat CJ. Longzhu was a toss-up, but they're increasing our expectations of this team. You always have tempered expectations of top teams, but MVP building them. And at this point, they very much look like a mid-table team.
Oh, they had the first against ESC, I believe, as far as the schedule goes, and then went on to beat Jhin. But all the same, definitely surprising that they were able to do that. But now that we look at Jhin and how they've been performing recently, I guess we can go back in hindsight and be like, that's not that shocking that they won that game.
The other thing that's interesting about MVP is that a lot of the teams that have struggled in 6-11 have been predictable. Like, well, Trace doesn't play Trinity Force well. Cuvée is going to struggle, and that's kind of been the story. Yeah. ADD isn't a carry top laner either. He's a very smart role-playing tank player. But MVP, of the teams that don't have the Dukes, the Somedays, the Dukes, the Somedays, the Smebs of the world, have actually navigated around that weakness very smartly. Trundle has been often a pick. Shen, when it's available, they're forcing early bans on Shen.
Yeah.
Not a lot of these teams have adapted to a meta that can cause a lot of headaches in terms of mismatches. But MVP have been pretty impressive on the whole, and a lot of that has been beyond having smart jungle pathing to allow these matchups to go pretty even though you're picking Trundle into Rumble, you're picking Trundle into Nom.
Yeah. You can see, though, this matchup really starting to hurt the Trundle. Does have the Spectre's Cow, but still taking a hell of a lot of damage from that Flame Spitter. Now Beyond roaming up, Crash spots him with the Tremor Sense, and Coco is hot on his heels with it. Goes, Expession gets chunked out, throws out the Equalizer. Flash forward there from Coco, trying to get onto him with the Sanguine Bolt. Beyond trying to get away, has that Hemo Plague ticking. Looks like the burst comes through, end of the line, not going to connect. One more hit from Crash ought to do it. The Braceseeker won't be enough, though. Looks like he will be able to get out of this one. Glacial Fish are going to go wide. MaHa still gets rooted in underneath the tower. Pure going to take it up, and Fury takes out the kill. So down on the bottom side of the map, Longzhu making some moves, taking advantage of that lone Sivir, and they find a kill.
Yeah, Max tried to roam up, wasn't even in range for the ultimate from max range, but at this point he's already gone over to the mid lane. MaHa needed to respect far more than he did, ended up getting turret dive. Kill goes over to Fury. Unnecessary, and another positioning mistake from MaHa. Atypical of his recent performance, but definitely more in line of what we expected as the season opened up.
Yeah, definitely a bad look here for him. Needs to step up and stop making these very blatant mistakes. Not having your Bard there, easy to back off, sit under that turret and farm up. Very doubtful that Fury would go for an aggressive dive if you're starting underneath the turret.
I mean, Bard had been gone a long time as well. Like, he was already in mid lane at that point.
Yeah,
so
plenty of time to back off.
you look at the items, like, the Bard had boots mobility. At the time, it was just regular boots on Braum, so you can guess that the Braum doesn't really want to follow roam after a Bard to begin with things like Magical Journey, increasing the speed at which a Bard rotates. So in general, the play made sense on the side of Longzhu, and that just means that MaHa poked his head out far too far.
And he's still suffering quite heavily as far as the CS numbers go. You can see 108 to 35. He's just been steadily falling further and further behind, where ADD's been actually able to hold that CS lead, and Ian has actually been bouncing back against Coco, this time coming out ahead, where in that first game was really suffering in those CS numbers. So turning things around, but MaHa still going to be the weak link, I guess you could say, on the side of MVP.
But honestly, this does actually track with MVP, even though they've been winning a lot recently. In terms of their gold difference at 15, they are 10th in the league. They're below teams like ESC ever in terms of struggles in the early game. Nice rotation, though. We'll see them take mid lane turret. Longzhu.
Oh, wow. TP straight down onto the bottom side. Crash really far forward with Expession. The Bard ultimate will catch the rumble. Does have an equalizer available. Does even throw it down. Doesn't get the chance. He's going to fall. Nicely played here by MVP with that collapse on the teleport. Crash will be able to zip and tunnel his way out to safety, but MVP feeling confident to start up the second Ocean Drain.
Another case where Expession comes in for a teleport play, and they don't account for double teleport on the side of MVP. They both show up. They hit their spells. They're going to take another Drake. It's at exactly the right time. If you do this and you force them to use 2 teleports and take off the synergy with the timer for the Drake, okay, it makes a little bit of sense, but they're going to be significantly punished if they keep looking for fights every 5 minutes as Drake spawns.
Yeah. Just realized it was actually the Proto Belt there for Expession for the first item. So really aggressive with that, but he does pay for it. That wasn't enough to get him out. Max going to take that Magical Journey, gets a little bit of damage in onto Pure. But beyond just sitting forward in this bottom side, making sure that his AD carry and support will remain safe. But now with that double Ocean Drake, all they have to do is sit in the brush for a little while, and they'll get healed right back up.
Returning to the stats, you know, I mentioned that MVP last for gold difference of 15, so that means they have the weakest early game, at least statistically. You wouldn't know that from watching the last few series, but the numbers don't lie. It's worth noting that Longzhu actually have always been good at the gold in early game. They've always had these mechanically talented players that even if they've struggled in mid to late game shot calling, they've always found well. So they're 4th against 10th when, of course, this game is actually MVP at 6th versus the 8th placed Longzhu. So they've always farmed well. Someone like Fury, someone like Coco, traditionally would have good CS advantages over their opponents, and nothing's changed in that regard. So,
well, they go for this sneaky Rift Herald. They do move, though. Now spot Crash here. Cosmic Binding's not going to connect, but they should be able to take away that Scuttle Crab, and they do. Just going to leave that Rift Herald probably to go and off itself back into the Rift.
All right, has to be completed before 20 minutes. MVP also, interestingly, had the second shortest game time in the league, so despite being negative 1,500 gold at 15 minutes, apparently they turn it on before, I believe it's 33 minutes, because they actually are only behind SK Telecom in terms of keeping those games and ending them short. At the start of the season, you're like, oh, they end it short because they lose a lot, but they've been winning games consistently in the past 4 sets or so, so yeah, not an ironic stat at all.
Last game will certainly help bump up that duration of game time with 58 minutes. See how long it takes this time, regardless of which side wins. But at the moment, 2,000 gold lead over to the side of MVP. This is more significant than any lead they had for a while in Game 1. So they're in a very strong spot at the moment. And if they can equalize CS for MaHa against Fury, they'd be in a really strong spot.
The gold timings, the item timings aren't there. The Rod of Age is scaling up. Seraph's Embrace coming soon. So not immediate power being bought by the Anivia in particular. Graves wants to get a second item to allow him to be a frontline fighter, even though he's going to be obviously going for mostly attack damage. So
that Malmortius.
The item's not quite there for MVP, but with the gold lead early in the game, it just means you're getting closer to the 2-3 items where that comp starts to kick off.
Well, Bard ultimate comes out, finds Fury and the turret beyond throwing out the smoke screen. Cosmic Binding's not going to lock them up. Fury has to flash back. He still goes down. Max finds the kill with the Ignite. Fury flash down, will be able to run his way out. Pops the current ball, finds Beyond with one shot. The second one not going to connect. Body block now by Max. The last one will go wide. So MVP taking out Pure, unable to get this turret, but meanwhile on the mid side, ADD pushing up onto Coco. It's a good amount of damage, but Crash coming in from the backside should keep him safe, and they will just back off.
The lane gank was actually super successful. Nice ult from Max. They get a single kill. Even with the ult being smart from Fury, forcing 3 people to back away, it's not enough space for them to hold on to this outer turret. We talked about the power of Longzhu's comp from ahead. Certainly not going to be ahead in this mid game.
Red buff does get taken by Crash, so a slight little reprieve, but they lose the tier 1 in the bottom side. So now 2-0 as far as the towers go, with a 3.6 thousand gold lead for MVP. We're looking very much in control of this game. Rip Herald's gone, which means Baron has now joined us on the map. For the time being, we're just going to be waiting for that third dragon to come up. It's a Mountain Drake, which will be spawning in about 1 minute and 45 seconds, and MVP could be damn sure they want to get their hands on that.
It would help Trundle to have impact in the side lane. They have double teleports, even Anivia auto attacks with the Mountain Drake. Going to mean there's going to be some split pushing. Anivia not realistically going to be a 1-3-1 champion, very much anchored towards mid lane, wants to pick up blue buff, just wants to clear. But you have options. Good to have those options. We saw Ian get so punished looking for auto attacks on structures in game 1. Things like Mountain Drake just mean you're in those vulnerable positions around inhibitor turrets that much less because you kill the turret faster.
See the vision control already coming through from MVP. Up by this Baron pit. Want to get that established as quickly as they can. Still not a very good team as far as taking the Barons. Have the Anivia for some strong burst damage. Sivir firing out those auto attacks, but the Mountain Drake is certainly going to be what they want to make that go considerably faster. In the meantime, grouping up into this top side. Expession takes a bit of damage. Root comes through actually from the Jhin. Now Crash comes over the wall. Curtain call blown. On the hunt, use an ADD. Looking like he might be able to get out of this one. Has that subjugate, but gets popped up into the air. Jhin's trying to close the distance. Here comes Fear. Finds some winners. Bite. Meanwhile, MaHa has to pop the heal. That's going to be the equalizer coming through. Still has that Hemoplague coming through. Actually not going to be enough to kill him off, though. And Max poking down from the bottom side, looking for those Cosmic Bindings to lock up the members of Longzhu. Should just be a disengage here as Expession gets chunked out pretty low on that Rumble. Looks like both teams going to be happy to go ahead and back off. Ultimates and Summoner spells blown on both sides.
While we've criticized the positioning from MaHa on the Sivir, was actually really steadfast on the spell shield. Spell shielded the Hemoplague.
Ah, yeah.
So didn't take damage, and then had Summoner spell heal. Didn't even use his flash. So really good use of the Summoners is to be commended. They lose no members, even though Longzhu were by far the first in the rotation.
Okay, I have to take another look at that one. Not to notice that, but yeah, really good use of the spell shield. Just didn't quite catch my eye. Well played there by him, and using that on the hunt to really help get ADD out of that rough spot. Now, they'll lose that tier 1 tower, so first tower that Longzhu's able to take, but they're going to get a Mountain Drake out of it, so definitely a good pickup here for MVP.
Always some inevitability about Tiamat Trundle being outpushed in the top lane. Mountain Drake taken down. I'm guessing, I didn't spot it, but I'm guessing an Infernal Drake is the next on the menu.
No, it's a Cloud. I'm just so excited. No, it's Infernal Drake.
Yay!
We do get the good ones today. Ocean, Infernal, and Mountain.
I mean, if you talk to Go, a Cloud's right up.
Oh boy. Big engage here by the side of Longzhu. Get the root down on the ADD straight into the Glacial Fissure. He's trying to regen as much as he can and flash over this wall. Will be able to get over it. Takes himself to safety. Nicely played there by ADD.
Second time Longzhu have heavily committed to getting a kill in top. This time with the turret down, so less potential reward. Just going to be a kill credit if Longzhu get that pick.
Oh, MaHa, though, really far forward yet again. Has a spell shield, crashes, waiting for it, flashes through, flash followed, knocks him up. MaHa trying to get out of here as fast as he possibly can. Rando wins Omen to slow him up. He's going to go down, Crash, finding the kill, the third out of 4 that has gone on to the Rek'Sai. So not necessarily you know, allocating these kills where you want to, especially with Fury right there, ready to pick it up.
Well, MaHa and ADD take turns overextending in top lane, but MaHa's the one that draws the follower flash from Crash.
ADD is at least
That was
tanky.
awkward to say. Follow flash from Crash. But they're going to have very good timer on that particular ability. Crash was able to wait out the spell shield, confirm the kill onto the Sivir, but crucially they weren't able to start Baron off the pick in the top lane. So it's just a pick, and that's what I was saying about the attempt on the Trundle, is that they seem to really be looking for picks, even though they haven't got the setup wards for Baron.
Oh, well, TP's coming through from Expession over top of them. Might have to pinch. Crashes in the pit as well, comes over the wall, trying to find Ian. Big Hemo Blake down onto the Anivia, already going to get bursted straight into that egg. Beyond as well, being whittled down. The Hex Drinker's been used. W comes through, he will flash away from that one. Ian goes down. Nice pickup there from Longzhu off the backside of that TP play.
Will they attempt the Baron? They've set up a
really risky.
Start it.
They're going to go ahead and start this one up. Crash going to get stunned into the wall here by Max. Will be able to tunnel successfully. Beyond to regain a little bit of HP, but it's not going to be a whole lot. Might have to go on a suicide mission into the pit and try to get this one out. Bard ultimate comes through, finds 4 members plus the Baron. Fury, the only one not caught by that. This does buy them some time. Exhaust now used onto the Graves. They jump out. Fury, they take him down. As MaHa finds the kill, but he gets answered for very quickly by Fury, who picks up another one. Magical Journey comes down. They're all going to take this one, but the curtain call's there, and they have to just follow and channel through this very slim wall. ADD, one last hit. Ooh. Max eats it at the last second. Will keep him alive. The Baron not going to go down, but they lose MaHa for it.
Yeah, someone had to die. They ended up being MaHa. MVP in general fought very smartly with the positioning. They were hitting the enemy champions, but Longzhu was still tanking the Baron. As you watch the kite, that's why you see MVP fighting around basically where this pink ward is on the map, because they're ensuring that Longzhu are eating damage at this point, and they're getting the shred from the magic resist as well. MaHa, once again, is the sacrificial lamb, but it was all about canceling Baron, and a single death for Baron is a fine trade. With the missing health damage, this last bolt with the armor penetration stacking would have killed Beyond, so yeah. Max does the team thing, takes the shot.
Very good of him to go ahead and do the team thing, but Longzhu have been starting to gain some ground. Doesn't really show so much in the gold at the moment. Still 3,000 in favor of MVP, but that TP play there from Expession, well executed. They come out and they almost, you know, got that Baron, if not for that big play from MVP, taking down Pure and really halting the progress of that.
Well, it was really good terrain for Longzhu to be fighting around. Anivia wants to set up safely with a turret behind her, with a wall behind her. Instead, she was just walking up and down the river and ended up getting zerged by specifically the Rumble and the nice equalizer position. It won't be that easy to do that. So now Ian can just return to mid, got the blue buff. Very much going to be safe. Didn't have to use flash in that last kill. Kind of would have gone down one way or the other. Yep. But that's the sort of terrain where Longzhu have a lot of options, because Expession can find a flank and have a good chance of winning a team fight.
Yep, now Ian looking for that Void Staff, has the Blasting Wand in the inventory. Or ultimate gets used, finds Pure, not going to connect on the Crash. Look at Coco as well, the pillars there to slow him up, and AD's just wreaking havoc.
For the equalizer.
That's going to be the Hemo Plague straight into the curtain call. Ian already taking a lot of damage. Equalizer well placed, one more shot. Max eats that one instead of the Anivia. Will keep him alive, but the W from the Jhin actually takes out the Bard. Now MaHa on the run has to use the heal. ADD to try to keep them off as long as they possibly can, but MVP are just getting whittled down so slowly and surely. Coco's going to fall in the end of things. Ian picking that one up. They will find MaHa and Max to 2-for-1. Yet again, Longzhu inching back in.
Yeah, the front line's just not strong, Achilles. This is what happens when you have the Graves inside of the Rek'Sai. Not everyone can tank in the front line. Beyond had to kite back. Only Trundle is a true frontliner. Maybe at 6 items, Trundle can fill that role. But the only reason you go for this fight is because Rumble's far away. This is a famous area for Rumble to get a massive equalizer down. They should feel fortunate that it goes this well for MVP, because this could have been a team wipe if Expession was close.
Yeah.
As the fight goes on, they see the low health bars, they want to continue, but at this point goes to Flasher down on Coco, and they're funneling into Ian's damage, so Coco just dies to incidental AoE coming through from the Anivia, so kiting back, certainly something that MVP can do outside of a scenario where they really opt into the wombo from Hemo Plague and Equalizer.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned ADD needing to get tankier. Looks like the Frozen Heart will be coming through. Just picked up that Warden's Mail. Still a ways off the Void Staff is Ian. Needs to get a little bit more, but the front line still lacking on the side of MVP. Lord Dominic's regard third completed item here from Beyond. We'll see if he wants to go a little bit tankier now, but the dagger in the inventory is going to say otherwise.
Well, this is the area where Longzhu are strongest. It's where the armor penetration is against just 2 armor items and no finished armor item from ADD. No armor being Beyond. Dragon going low.
Well, it's going to be taken away by Beyond. ADD still up in that front line, has the pillar down. Crash is already chunked out. Fury takes a little bit. That should just be a successful disengage from MVP. Fourth Dragon picked up, now having double Ocean, a Mountain, and Infernal. It's going to be a second Infernal spawning in just 6 minutes.
This is really worrying times for MVP. They need to be steady because the only member that can itemize for armor, oh boy, they're going to score the fight anyway.
Finds Expession and Coco. Can they capitalize on this one though? Anivia wall comes out, finds Sivir and Expession on the wrong side of things. They both flash over, trying to get out of there. Trundle Pillar's not going to be able to lock him up too much. Coco using that Proto Belt, trying to create some distance. ADD still chases forward, but they just can't find too much else. He'll throwing out the stun, not going to be able to connect, but MVP, they start up the Baron. They have Longzhu extremely low.
Equalizer
still very risky. Ian gets locked up. Here comes the curtain call. Equalizer goes down to the backside of the pin. Max is going to have to retreat with MaHa. They go in Fury, taking out Beyond. There's no smite available. It's going to be confirmed by Coco of all people. And Longzhu have found their way back into this game. 3 kills plus a Baron. MVP, what are you thinking?
Real big mistake. Opting into a Baron start against Magic Resist Shred, a Vladimir, and a Rumble. They are destroyed by AoE. Sure, you can start it, then peel away, but they don't seek to do that. They look to finish. Max goes around the back. They're not committing at the right times. Basically, people die in AoE. It's a shooting gallery for Fury. In no way is he inhibited at any point during this fight, and that's just a straight mistake from MVP.
Yeah, now Longzhu moving forward into mid will take out those turrets and looking straight onto that inhibitor. MaHa getting chunked out. Hasu's on the hunt just to get away. One more hit from Fury would have taken him out. Kirk goes down. The inhibitor will live to see another day, but Longzhu pushing right back off the backside of that Baron take. Now have a very nice lead. 3.4 thousand over top of MVP, who's been in control for the majority of this game, but starting to let it slip, just like we saw in Game 1.
They've been in control, Achilles, but the point I kept trying to make is that you look down MVP's lineup, who can build armor on this lineup? Beyond, you can definitely build magic resistance grades because more Malmortis fits with your armor penetration AD, but you can't build armor until a Guardian Angel later in the game. You don't want to rush Guardian Angel, you need to build damage on that Graves. Bard is one of the squishiest supports, as you can see, has actually invested all of his gold into the Mikhail's Crucible to stop picks. And there's just no one who can build armor. It's only Trundle who still doesn't have an armor item. It's why I said Trundle needs to build Tiamat, Magic Resist, and then build into armor. Well, the armor still hasn't come, and they over-pursue. They force fights before they have even one frontliner to tank this damage for Longzhu. And the result is the big lead that Longzhu found themselves.
Well, continuing this push to the bottom side, the tier 1 goes down. Open up with the curtain call. Ian's going to take a bunch of these shots. Huge crit onto MaHa. And that's going to be the tier 2 going down to the bottom side now for Longzhu, who've just picked up 4 off of this one Baron take. That's quite the power play if we've ever seen one. 5,000 up now. MVP are just going to try to hold on to these inhibitors as long as they can, but with that one open in mid, I think they might have to just let this go.
Max might look for an ult to try and stop things here, but it's so hard for MVP to do anything right at this point. Baron buff still on Longzhu for about a minute.
Expession now joining the team. They have wave clear in the form of Sivir, but with those Baron-empowered minions, it makes it that much harder. Here goes forward, goes on the winner's bite. Not going to be able to find anything. They are ripping through these minions pretty quickly. Inhibitor down to about half, but no opening from either side. Root comes in on the Ian, takes a bit of damage. Longzhu can just stick around and try to siege this out as long as possible. They still have a good amount of time left on that Baron.
They can push it in. It's really fickle. If they get a pick here, maybe they can turn around and fight.
Try to open this one up with an equalizer, especially still holding onto it. Bard ultimate comes out, does find Fury. Killer's already been used. Max going to get knocked up by that W right there. It gets rooted. They find a kill onto Crash. That might be the opening that they need now. Expession jumping back with the Proto Belt. Several members of Longzhu really low. Does MVP keep going for this, or do they just back off? Keep moving forward down this lane. That's going to be the equalizer coming down. No one really going to get caught by that too much. Pillar gets dropped. There's the curtain call. ADD could fall if he gets hit by these. Ian going to pop the shield. Keep one of those. MaHa, nice spell shield, just juggling in and out, trying to keep him low. It's going to be the ultimate used by Beyond. Not able to find Coco, but Max goes for it. Can he get it? Might have been a little bit too much. Do lock up Expession, however, with the flash freeze, and they take him out. ADD still up in this front side. trying to find another pick, but Longzhu just very successfully disengaging here with Fury. Up here, nice flash over to the other side of that pillar. Will take them to safety, but MVP fire back, and they get a couple kills, and they hold on to the inhibitor, which is the most important thing.
MVP were pretty smart in their timing to re-engage. They waited out cooldowns. The equalizer was very smartly stepped away. Everyone instinctively walked towards their own wolf camp, so it meant the equalizer didn't split the team as it was intended to by Longzhu. And that was their time to go in. Jhin ult down, Rumble ult down, look for the exit kills. Well, they only got the one. But still, they were against Baron buff for a lot of that fight, so pass marks for MVP, and crucially, they keep up the inhibitor.
Yep. Also able to fire back, get that tier 2 in mid. So they do get a little bit of that gold back. Still going to be working from a deficit, but with a second Infernal Drake spawning now in 30 seconds, that could very much be useful for them to try to get back in this game and take control. Because if Longzhu gets that, Fury is going to make really good use of that increase 6% AD.
And look, it will sound crazy, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, but to me, the Chain Vest purchase from the Trundle is actually more important than another Infernal Drake. They need to have a scenario where ADD can stand in the front and shrug off the damage from specifically Fury, and he's getting closer and closer to that. One armor item completed, the Chain Vest as well, probably going to be Guardian Angel next for the Trundle, but Guardian Angel Trundle can run with reckless abandon at this Jhin, and I think the rest of the members can do work for MVP. It's Coco.
Yeah, get a bunch of damage, throws down a Hemo Plague, just going to get some
it's a
HP
big
back.
cooldown down.
Yeah, very important one. That's going to give MVP the confidence to go ahead and start up this Infernal Drake. Pull it out as far as they can. Crash goes forward, might just be a Smite War. ADD goes in trying to keep off this one, actually gets it with the auto attack. Can they even punish him for this? Might just have to flash over the wall, and he does. Bard ultimate comes out, but it's going to go wide, doesn't find anybody. So a nice takeaway by Crash, and just a fumble attempt there from MVP.
Really risky attempt at steal. Means the Crash doesn't have flash up, which can be very relevant when it comes to either getting a pick or just functioning in a team fight as Rek'Sai. Keeps his Guardian Angel as well. Only reason he risked that was because of the fact that he had flash available, but no flash, and Baron will be spawning in a minute. MVP do take this time to recall, so no team has established any sort of Baron control just yet. 3 pink wards in the inventory for MVP. Because of the slots, actually, really not a lot of pink wards can be bought, so I think Longzhu need to sell some of these Dorans and get some pink wards, because the next Baron is a seesaw they can't afford to miss.
Yeah, you can already see 3 pink wards sitting in the inventories of MVP, so definitely ready to prep that objective as far as the vision goes.
Monty loves talking about selling Dorans for a pink ward. This is the time, Longzhu. This is the timestamp. If you're listening, Last Boy, tell your charges. Sell those Dorans.
Those who think buy a pink. So they definitely need to do that. Right now they're not thinking, but they still are managing to have a little bit of a lead. But MVP has been closing in on it very quickly. Losing that Infernal Drake, it's going to hurt them a little bit. 6% increased AD onto the Jhin is really going to do a lot of damage because he does have the Infinity Edge, and now the Rapid Fire cannon coming in yet again.
Trundle getting closer and closer to Guardian Angel. I think that, again, is the item threshold that allows MVP to win fights, but
That Flame Spitter just not doing
Nope.
anything now.
minions dying. The King's Tribute passive is healing more than the Flame Spitter's doing damage. MVP will be the first team to get, predictably, the vision here. Coco's coming in.
Yeah, Coco's on the sidelines, throws down that Hemo Plague, does catch MaHa with it. It doesn't have much of anywhere to go. Ian roams up, the stun, not going to connect. Max jumped out now. It's going to be the TP coming in from ADD. Coco's still up on that top side, duking it out with Beyond, who has to turn back onto the minions in front of him again. A little bit of HP. ADD now up at this front line. It's going to be the call coming through. First shot finds Max. Can he find the second one? It's going to be eaten by MaHa. The Bard ultimate used to delay it as best as they can. Crash trying to get out of here, save that GA. First one to fall will be Beyond. Now Equalizer into the back line. MaHa has to run through it. Will get a bunch of tick down on his HP. They have to retreat. ADD now getting engaged. Proto Belt comes forward, and he will be able to successfully disengage. But Crash has that Void Rush available, gonna recall, go back to the base, rush straight back in for this Baron, and with no smite, the hope of a steal from MVP, it's all but lost.
And even with Expession canceling his teleport, Longzhu fights smartly, and they get a pick specifically on the jungler. It should mean that this Baron is free. MVP are poking around.
Trying to do what they can, but there's the smite. They do take that one away, and might even be able to get a kill off the backside. No, they don't want to pursue that one any further onto ADD, but now another Baron going over to Longzhu, and they just rip that gold deficit right back apart.
Baron might have been one that MVP could have navigated around, specifically because Longzhu's ability to auto-attack turrets is very poor. They have 3 melee champions, a Vlad and a Jhin, and both of them are fairly short-range auto-attackers. This was a really nice flank from Coco. Expession has his teleport cancelled by Trundle, who can then just teleport at a plenty. There is no way for the Rumble to interrupt Trundle. So in a 5v4, because they
still
fight,
makes it here.
And that's the thing, is they fight very much split. Beyond isn't contributing to this fight at all. Interrupts the Fury ult. Expession can't get there, so this should be an easy win by MVP. Beyond goes too far in and dies to 1,000 damage 4th order. He thought he was tanky, he thought he could re-engage, but the 5v4 ends up actually being the kryptonite for MVP.
Really nicely played here by Longzhu. We're looking to take us very convincingly to a game 3, faltering in the start. Now coming back in, but if this ends up anything like we saw in game 1, then MVP still has a very solid chance of winning this one out. It's only 3.4 thousand gold separating them, but that tanky front line is just severely lacking from MVP, as you've been harping on for this entire game. It's going to be the rapid fire cannon completion for Beyond. Still no tankiness in sight, but the Guardian Angel now there for ADD. So going to be a slight little reprieve that he can stick around in front lines. But you have to get through the Guardian Angel on Flash as well if you want to be effective.
One fights from Longzhu have been flanks. But we have to recall, this is difficult terrain.
Bard ultimate comes out, does find Expession. Crash is just taking up in the front, still has GA available. They're forcing him down. He will be able to tunnel out. The Ignite, though, is going to finish him off. So the GA going to be coming up. Do they just collapse onto him? It looks like they might be what they want to do. He flashes over the wall, trying to buy some time, and might actually just make it out of here. Still a crucial cooldown picked off there by MVP while they're fighting against this Baron-empowered Longzhu team.
The 2 big wins for Longzhu have been a flank from Expession and a flank from, of all people, Ghost Flash Vladimir. But flanking at the enemy inhibitor is something you cannot do. It's not possible to pull that mode, apart from a backdoor, of course, but flanking a 5v5 is certainly not going to happen. And walking into the MVP team is almost impossible. Wall goes up, pillar goes up, Sivir pops ult. There's nothing you can do there, and that's where it gets more tricky for Longzhu. And as you said, the Guardian Angel completed. Items starting to come in for Beyond. There's still a teamfight MVP win, but if they make a mistake around Baron again, that will certainly be the game for MVP.
Yeah. See Coco creating some pressure up top, but MVP just going to crash and be able to finish off that wave with relative ease, keeping that tier 2 alive. Elder Dragon ready to spawn now in 5 seconds. That would be 4 buffs amplified here from MVP. A hell of a lot of extra damage that they would get per stack.
They don't have the map pressure to even check it. You notice they don't have any wards. They're against a Rek'Sai ult, but they're going to pop the ult. They're going for this.
Beyond finds Coco, uses that protocol to get over the wall, but he takes a whole lot of damage, has to flash out with the same weak. Beyond follows up very nicely and takes him out before the Hemoplay can get any health regen back in. Max playing forward, he still hasn't used the Bard ultimate. We'll throw it out now, flashes away by Fury to keep himself out of that, but that should be the ground needed here for MVP to take out this Elder Dragon, which could be their ticket into a victory against Longzhu.
Crazy they could generate the pressure to take this dragon with no wards on this side of the map. They pop the Sivir ult, they get the pick they needed, and they get Elder Drake. And we know that this buff is only a minute and a half, but that is a minute and a half of basically superpowers for MVP. And Longzhu just say, we do not want to fight under any circumstances till everyone is not on fire.
Yeah, especially not having Coco with you. Very detrimental. See ADD just going to retreat back to that mid. Clear that out. Does have teleport available. Should Longzhu try to go for a play against MVP, we're just going to keep pushing up in this bottom side. Coco's coming back up in 7 seconds, so I don't know how long they can stick around against this team.
Got about another minute of this Elder Drake.
Oh, that's going to just go ahead and pop the TP. Fairly aggressive here from MVP. They will be able to whittle down this inhibitor. Do they go for more? Do they rotate to the mid? Wave's not there, so they might just have to back off this play. So investing the teleport for that, not sure if it was entirely necessary, but definitely very safe.
They have a second teleport, so not too consequential for them. Build has been so delayed from Expession. 70 CS behind, no kills, some assists, but no Void stuff is really counting against him into this part of the game. Has a blasting one, that will clearly be Void stuff final item, but Expession is basically tickling the enemy team at this point, which is concerning for Longzhu.
Definitely not where you want to be for that Rumble. And I mean, he's had a couple good equalizer placements, but overall been very easily dodged out by MVP, not getting them in a crucial pinch like you want to do when you're playing that Rumble.
Damage final for Beyond. Could have gone for Guardian Angel, but his role is clearly to put out damage. There's a lot of damage on the side of MVP. That, as you say, Bloodthirster. A Lyra special will definitely be the final BF sword item. I guess outside chance of an Infinity Edge, but...
well, not having a Death Stance. Definitely want to get that sustained back.
Fair.
Tier 1 goes down now, so good on MVP, really pushing their advantage with this Elder Dragon, trying to net as much as they possibly can.
Well, Elder Dragon's certainly been off them for quite a while at this point. Again, only that tight window with the minute and a half. They're just pushing in outright.
Good impression that they've guarded for themselves. Have that inhibitor down. Crash doing a whole lot of damage. Collateral damage goes out.
Fury.
Ultimate does find Fury and Crash. They go in deep. He's going to get popped up immediately. Beyond being taken really low. Good dashes forward. Trying to take him out. They're going to find two. It's only going to be MaHa going down so far. Now Coco still really tanky. Has to go straight into the Zonias, but everybody else is dying. Crash looking like he's going to be the only one making it out of here. And MVP, can they just win on this push? It's 55 seconds on Expession.
They're going to look for it. They're going to take down the inhibitor turret first. They could just rotate, but with no minion wave, they need these minions to crash. And as you say, 35 seconds on Jhin. I think MVP have done it.
It looks like an ADD going forward, going to tank up the rest of these turrets. Crash unable to do anything to hold on to these. The first one falls, the second one following suit. And MVP looking like they were certainly going to lose this, certainly be taken to game 3, come back on top and take down Longzhu in a 2-0, now on a 6-game winning streak.
They got those items on the Trundle. The team fights look so much cleaner. There was no flanks for Longzhu anymore. MVP set up their wards. They had extra pink wards down every fight. They couldn't flank them under the inhibitor. That's where they lost the first fight. And then they just played super aggressive. That pick that got them the Elder Drake was probably the biggest moment of the game. We're going to look over the damage deltas.
Jeez, Beyond.
Somehow Beyond does it again. The guy who has the highest kill participation of any player in the league. He is the glue that holds the MVP early game together. They have the weakest early game in the league, but they've got one of the best junglers in the league, and he makes it work somehow.
Yeah, that is pretty much inarguable at this point. I mean, Bengi Blank looking pretty good. Of course, you've got Peanut there, but Beyond very much just chomping at the heels, trying to work his way and solidify a spot in the top 3. And he's been doing a damn good job of it, having the most damage, not even just on your team, but almost the most damage in the game on the Graves. Really aggressive stuff, and MVP, despite having that one frontliner in the